Training camp is finally here for the Seattle Seahawks, and if you guys want even more updates, the news, the rumors, hopefully no injuries, but if those happen, we're going to keep you guys covered here at Seattle Seahawks Today. If you haven't already, hit that big red button and subscribe for free for all the Seahawks camp coverage you could want. We'll get this going with the number one story around the Seattle Seahawks. That is Jamal Adams. Although there is still no new deal for the soon-to-be highest-paid safety in the NFL, Adams, as expected, did report on time to training camp, which all the players reported today. Practice getting going later this week. The Seahawks and Adams are still in contract talks. And although Seattle in general likes to have these deals done either before camp or early on in camp, Ian Rapoport of NFL Network says the two sides aren't close at all. I will also make note that Josina Anderson says that they're closer than what they've been, which both things could very much be true. The two sides might not be very close, but they're closer than what they were in the past. Before everyone freaks out, Rap also said this, quote, "Eventually, this will be a deal that I think both sides will be happy with, and Jamal Adams will likely be a very rich man. Trying to figure out why the delay, right? Why isn't this deal quite done at this point? I think it's pretty straightforward here. There's a difference in just how much more Adams will make than Justin Simmons. The Seahawks reportedly have already made an offer to get Adams as the highest paid safety in the NFL, more than Justin Simmons' $15.25 million. But in a safety market that is due to reset in the not too distant future, the question mark ends up becoming, okay, how much more will Jamal Adams get than Justin Simmons? Guys like Marcus May, Marcus Williams are currently top 10 highest paid safeties in the NFL, but they're going to hit the open market next year. They could get more than Justin Simmons. Players like Minkah Fitzpatrick, Jesse Bates, Derwin James, if healthy, could also get a major deal from their respective teams or somebody else altogether. And I think that Adams, this is a guess, it's not source, not a guarantee, but my suspicion here is that Adams wants to get paid more than just the safety. He's probably trying to totally reset the safety market, given all his leverage. He might be looking for money equal to or more than what Bobby Wagner got from Seattle. Fred Warner got $19 million from San Francisco. Now, he's arguably, outside of maybe Bobby Wagner, the best linebacker in the NFL, so not a huge surprise he got that. But Adams' production in limited time last year, remember, he was banged up. I mean, if you played linebacker, for example, it's pretty damn good production. 83 tackles, 11 tackles for loss, 9.5 sacks, 3 pass breakups. Yes, Adams is not elite by any stretch of the imagination in coverage, but he is an impact player. He's the type of player that opposing defenses have to be aware, or opposing offenses have to be aware of and scheme about. So I think that's a big deal for the Seattle Seahawks in terms of figuring out what the Seahawks and what the team is trying to do relative to his particular contract. I think in the end, Jamal Adams at minimum is going to be the highest paid safety in the NFL. But the question that Seattle might be facing here is whether or not Jamal Adams should become their highest paid defender, over or equal to Bobby Wagner's $18 million. So what do you guys think? Get your votes in for me on today's pinned comment. If you get the ad break here on YouTube, scroll on down and let me know. Type in Y for yes he should, or no for no he should not. Personally, I lean more towards the no side. Let's hit the other kind of big question mark on the Seahawks defense right now. That is Aldon Smith. And it would appear that Smith, who I still believe is on the roster bubble, is going to be a part of Seahawks training camp. He reportedly reported to training camp. That makes sense there, right? That's proper grammar. And that's a big deal for Seattle because he was not at minicamp / OTAs as he deals with Louisiana, legal issues from a battery charge, with that arraignment, by the way, getting delayed until August 24th, making things easier for him from a camp perspective, but also, allegedly at least, is in better shape after being excused from the team's minicamp, and Smith is fighting for a roster spot. There's no doubts about that here. I think that in terms of the role he could play, it would be very similar to that of Darrell Taylor. Remember, Bobby Wagner, still the middle linebacker. Jordan Brooks primed to take over for KJ Wright at the weak side linebacker position. And that leaves that strong side, kind of that hybrid 3-4 outside linebacker, 4-3 Samuel, I think, for the most part, will play along the line of scrimmage, not like lined up behind defensive tackles or anything, but more as a pure edge. That role, I think, is going to go to Darrell Taylor. Aldon Smith, though, if he's in the right mindset, in shape, and playing well, presents at minimum a really great backup piece to Taylor, even if he breaks out this season. Aldon Smith, at the beginning of last year, member of the Dallas Cowboys, torched Seattle early on in the year. But down the stretch, he was not the same guy. The production dip, there were some whispers of Smith struggling off the field, not quite being where he was at the beginning of the year. His numbers declined. In more games, fewer tackles for loss, fewer sacks. Admittedly, the defense was bad and they couldn't stop the run, so there weren't that many good opportunities. But his pressure rate also fell off a cliff. All of those things were significant red flags and why Smith signed for so little. He is not guaranteed a roster spot. He truly is a wild card right now with camp set to get underway. So make your predictions for me. Will Aldon Smith make the 53-man roster? Get your votes in right now. Type in 1 for yes, he will, or you can type in 0 for no, he will not. If you like to bet, like for example, if you're betting on Aldon Smith's future, well then you know what? Do it with our sportsbook partner, BetUS. Head over to the link you see below, right there, bottom of your screen, chatsports.com/bet. Use the promo code, you see it right there next to my shoulder. It's Seahawks 125. When you put down at least $100, you will get a 125% deposit bonus. That's an extra $125 to bet with. You can bet on Russell Wilson MVP, the Seahawks to win more than 9.5 games. A ton of great props and an opportunity to make more money this season. Head over to BetUS. Don't forget to use the promo code Seahawks125 at chatsports.com/bet. I did want to make a couple notes here, some more back of the roster addition/subtraction here. Seattle has added a wide receiver. Remember, they were going to bring in D.D. Westbrook for a visit. That ended up not happening. He goes to the Minnesota Vikings. They have instead signed wide receiver Darius Roberson. I think I got that pronunciation right there. If your response is, who the hell is that? Congrats. You're a normal human being with a normal life, because this is someone that I think maybe 1% of NFL fans have heard of, the former D2 wide receiver. Spent part of this offseason with the Arizona Cardinals. He is highly unlikely to end up making the 53-man roster. He's stuck behind likes of DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, Dwayne Eskridge, Freddie Swain, John Asura, Penny Hart, Kay Johnson, Connor Weddington, Aaron Fuller, Cody Thompson, and other guys that even some Seahawks fans haven't even heard of. Not a huge addition, but I did want to make note of it. Back of the roster player to make room for Roberson. The Seahawks did release Savion Smith, the former Dallas Cowboys corner who actually briefly played last year, tends to fit more of the prototypical role of that bigger, longer corner on the outside for Seattle. But much like Roberson, he wasn't going to make this team. He was stuck behind DJ Reed, Akella Witherspoon, Marquise Blair, Pierre Desir, Trey Flowers, Trey Brown, Ugo Amadi, Demarius Randall, Miller, Brian Mills, and a whole lot more of other depth options. So this is like legitimately, I think, the swapping of the 90th man on the roster. Not a huge deal, but I did want to make note of it because it is, after all, some Seahawks news.